Hello everyone, my name is Michael SK, and welcome back to Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 5. The last episode really took some turns that I was not expecting. Things occurred in the latter half of the episode that just really took me aback. I didn't know what was happening. I really had to just sit there and ponder afterwards, like, wow, what happened? Because emotions flared, and fists were practically thrown, more like objects were thrown. A chair was almost thrown or used as a weapon. It got wild, and all for Satoshi. It's I don't know. Everything is just kind of crumbling around Satoshi, as we learned about in Chapter 3. Satoshi and Sotoko, their torture and all that. But we're really seeing another side of things here. And somebody commented in the last episode, I feel like I should bring this up, that Rena, did she actually meet Satoshi? Did she say in Chapter 1 that she met Satoshi? Because Satoshi was brought up in Chapter 1 because Keiichi used his bat. Did Rena say anything about Satoshi, about meeting him prior? Or did she say that she didn't meet him because she transferred in afterwards? For some reason, I was under the impression, oh yeah, you know, they probably met or whatever, because I didn't play Chapter 1 until like a year ago. It's been a while. So just throwing that out there, if any of you want to help me with that one. Sis sounded both amazed and confused. That's pretty much how you can sum up the reaction there. Sis tried to say something, but she stopped in the middle. After listening to a few complaints, I started telling her about everything that happened today. Sis had to pretend that the trouble I caused today was her responsibility, which must have been very taxing for her. Sis had been sympathetic, but maybe I pushed her too far this time. Of course she'd be hesitant to trade spots considering what I did today. The atmosphere felt awkward, so we were both silent for a while. That was a reasonable question. I wasn't prepared to answer though. If I had a chance to go to the school once again to see Satoshi-kun, what would I do? Would I apologize to him about today? I don't think that would work. That might even upset him again, no matter how hard I tried. Okay, here's something that he was saying. It was the Sonozaki family who had been harassing his. It would only be natural for him to hold a grudge against us. But why was he only expressing that now? I've been a Sonozaki to him all along. Satoshi-kun stroked my head even though he knew I was Mion Sonozaki. Well, knowing what a lot of people in the village might know, you know, there's the whole fact that the three families, especially the Sonozaki, have a bit of control, if you will. Maybe that's an understatement and far from an exaggeration, I don't know. So maybe they know the Sonozaki family is behind the whole Yashiro-sama shit, but they're just going along with it? I don't know. And when all the emotions flared out, it's just like, man, fuck this Oyashiro shit. It is the Sonozaki family. You fucked us. It was our family that initiated the persecution of the Hojo family, making them into scapegoats. Or maybe that happened, I don't know. Even after the dam conflict, it wasn't easy for the Hojo family to live in Hinamizawa. Given all of that, it's not surprising that Satoshi-kun hates us. The Sonozaki family who put his family in a devastating situation. If he had rejected me in the first place, I wouldn't have wanted to get close to him. My tears wet my cheeks, I didn't bother to wipe them. It's only natural for him to hold a grudge against the Sonozakis, and there's nothing unusual about it. Rather, why has he been treating me like a friend? I knew how stupid this question was. Yeah, it's like, what can you do? What can you do except, just not make a freaking big-ass deal about it? Because if you do, nothing will come out of it. You just gotta suck it up and just pretend as if things were normal. Honestly, I wouldn't be able to roll with that either. Everything I just said was bullshit. He'd been treating me as a friend because he was mature, but now that he'd become stressed mentally and physically, he decided to reject me? No matter how hard I thought about it, I couldn't find anything to fault him with. If there was somebody to blame, it'd be somebody I'd never accused before. It's kinda obvious. Do we know that though? Mion couldn't say anything in return. Actually, it wasn't at all hard to guess the reason. The hag didn't give any specific order to harass the Hojo family. She just thought the Hojo family was getting in the way. Yeah, that's right. Everything is very indirect here. The people around her noticed what was bothering her and took steps to get rid of it. Though, of course, she must have known how influential her own words were. She didn't just think it, she gave what she must have known would be interpreted as an order. She's the one to blame for initiating the attack on the Hojo family. See, this is where Chapter 4 just really plays like a really good hand in things. Like, sure, it was a little bit of a side thing, a little in a different direction, but it still provided us with this, I guess, view on how things take place within the three families. Because if we just skip this, we'd be like, what the fuck? Mion couldn't say anything in return, meaning that my accusation was the truth. Mion suddenly changed her tone and hung up. She must have done that to escape from my questions, and I was furious. I started redialing the number, but then I remembered that we decided she hang up the phone after using that phrase when she saw the hag coming. I doubted she actually saw the hag, but it was the rule, so I couldn't call back for a while. I went to the bathroom to wash my face and cool down. I turned the faucet. The water felt lukewarm. It didn't help me cool down at all. I'm disgusted by my own childishness. I just wanted to fill my void. I didn't care about him, considering that Satoshi-kun was very generous, but I don't know if I can forgive Soroko. That's a different story. I wonder if there's like a wiki or something that just has all these notebook sections kind of collected. That would be pretty cool, because I feel like reading those all together would be more beneficial than kind of reading them all separate. That's how it works with those secret reports in Kingdom Hearts, right? I was looking up at the ceiling with my arms and legs spread out. It's not that I wasn't getting hungry. I didn't live with my parents. I didn't live in the school dorm. That meant I had to cook something for myself when I wanted to eat. I knew that, but I still didn't feel like getting up. It had been several days since I began this empty life. It must be tomorrow. The Watanagashi festival, I mean. Oh ho, it's coming up. I heard the doorbell ringing. I ignored it at first, but it rung persistently. I started hearing knocking, along with Kasai's rude voice.
Shion-san, いらっしゃるなら開けてください。弁当を買ってきました。
I didn't ask him to. He must have known that I hadn't eaten enough and that I'd be feeling down lately. Or I'd been feeling
や
down
はり
lately.
食事を取られていませんでしたか。
別にお腹が空いてるわけじゃないし。
But when Kasaya put the food on the table, my stomach reacted in a very primitive way by making some noise.
ほら、お腹が鳴っている。食べた方がいいですよ。
I was hungry, but I had no appetite. I mean, I did have an appetite, but didn't have the energy to eat. Yet I'd feel bad wasting the food Kasaya had brought. I picked up my chopsticks just to humor him.
最近はばあさんがマークしてるんじゃなかったの？私のとこなんかに来て大丈夫なわけ？
おりょうさんは綿流しの打ち合わせなどでお忙しく、しおんさんのことまでは最近は頭が回らないようでしたので、クリームコロッケは好物ではありませんでしたか？
うん。美味しいです。ありがとう。
While I nibbled on the food, Kasaya read through the magazines I bought.
葛西は、うん。
I'd never talked to Kasaya about something like this before. Since I've always believed myself superior to him psychologically, I hesitated to show my weaknesses to him.
そういう悩みも年頃にしておくのは悪いもんじゃありませんよ。
葛西、あんた全部知ってる？
ミオンさんから少々力になってほしいと頼まれました。
お姉か。
心配しておられましたよ、ミオンさん。
Without responding, I threw the last croquette in my mouth.
北条聡君の近況を知りたがっていると思いまして、少し情報を集めてきましたが、余計なお世話でしたか？
余計なお世話です。でも、せっかく集めてきた葛西の顔を立てるために、まあ一応聞いておきます。
God damn it. The old tsundere act. Kasaya chuckled but stopped quickly as if thinking it rude. No, it's funny.
北条哲平が家を出たらしいです。
Aha.
沖宮に実婚の関係の女性がいまして。
哲平？誰？ああ、サトシ君のおじか。
Wait, I thought he would flee after the death of the aunt.
家には叔母の北条玉江と北条聡、聡子の3人となりました。
I guess he left because he was bored? Was that actually the reason? Like he went to go, fuck other bitches?
玉江は哲平が別の女性のところへ逃げたのだと気づき、大層機嫌を悪くしたらしいですね。
ってことはあれだ。ますます叔母の里子いびりが加速して、サトシ君もそれのとばっちりで、ますますに苦労してるってことか。
サトシ君の方はわかりませんが、聡子さんの方は近所でも噂になるくらい、決して良くはない状況です。
If Sadako looked miserable, that means Satoshi-kun must be going through equally miserable torture.
その叔母って、なんとかならないの？憎き北条家の片割れなわけだから、その崎本家で制裁しちゃおうって話にはなってないの？
Didn't mean to jump to the next line there so quickly. She's also one of the remaining Hojos after all. The uncle is gone, so why not the aunt?
その崎本家としては、北条夫妻の事故死で一応のけじめがついたので、北条関連では一切手を出すなと言命が出ています。夫妻の事故死を疑う警察が、北条家近辺を未だマークしているという噂がありますので。
事故死はお社様のたたりってことになってるからね。神罰が下ったんなら、それ以上は人間が下すまでもないってこと。
Kasai put on a faint smile. Come to think of it, it is hard, it is hard not to suspect the involvement of the Sonozaki family in all the incidents said to be Oyashiro-sama's curse. Somebody strives to get rid of the hag's concerns on the day of the Watanagashi festival. Furthermore, the Watanagashi festival is going to be held tomorrow. Will the curse strike again this year? Yes. If so, who will be the victim? The aunt? And now that I think about it, there were cases of multiple victims in the past. The first and third year, it was just one, but the second year, the victims were a couple. So it wouldn't be too strange if 2 people fell victim this year. It seems like a good time. It'd be best for Sotoko and her aunt to be the victims. Oh no. Oh no, that's not how it's gonna be. Satoshi-kun will be freed from every source of his worries all at once.
Kasai.
There's a lot of parallels here, by the way. Like, in Chapter 3 with Keiichi, thinking, oh, if we just get rid of the uncle, Sadako will be freed. And now we're thinking, oh, if we get rid of the aunt and Sadako, Satoshi will be free.
今年のお社様のたたりの犠牲者は誰かってもう決まってるの？決めるのはばあさん？ならお姉は明日の犠牲者をもう知ってるってことになるな。どうなの葛西？何か聞かされてる？
シオンさん、私はその件については一切聞かされていません。
まあそりゃそうか。葛西ごときの耳に本家の最高機密が入るわけもないか。
そういうことです。少なくとも私の関係する界隈ではそういう話は降りてきていません。ですがご存知の通り本家は裏の世界の方々に通じます。
So we've continued to find out.
私にはその一部を垣間見ることも叶いません。
Maybe I could try asking Sis about it, but she won't talk. She's strict about keeping promises, unlike me. If the... God damn. Excuse me, I almost died there. If the hag told her to keep a secret, she'd take it to the grave.
今年の綿流しでおばとさとこが消えちまえばいいのにな。葛西、私は憂慮したよ。気を利かせてくれると嬉しいんですけど。
シオンさん、ご冗談を。
わーってるって。言ってみただけだって。
I took a glimpse at Kasai. It didn't look like he was actually going to do something to make my wish come true. I wasn't able to go to the villages myself, so I definitely wasn't going to the festival. I didn't care about that. Even so, I was interested in who was going to end up as the victim of the curse. If I just kept lying on this couch playing hooky, somebody would fall victim in several hours. I had no clue why it had to happen every year, but I was certain that the hag was behind it. All the enemies from the dam conflict had been punished. Only the Hojo couple, was left since most of the other enemies had already gone. The cicadas were crying loudly outside. It made me feel hot. Why was it this hot and humid in June? If Ayashiro-sama was actually punishing people, I'd pray for one thing. I'd pray that the evil aunt would be punished, and I'd offer up Sadako as a sacrifice. Ha! Ah, it's hot. When I woke up, Kasai had already gone. Looks like he cleaned the table in the surrounding room. He put my dirty laundry into the hamper in front of the washing machine too. Being a girl of a sensitive age, I didn't want a man to clean my room. Well, I'd rather thank him than badmouth him. I looked at the clock. It was late afternoon. I had to go grocery shopping. There was nothing left in the fridge, and I'd be having just rice for dinner if I didn't go. At that moment, the phone rang. It must be Kasai, I thought. I did hope it was him. He could have brought more food, so then I wouldn't have to go shopping. While I was just being lazy, I didn't feel like going out at all. But it wasn't Kasai on the phone.
おねえ、そこどこ？本家じゃない？
あ、うん。公衆電話からかけてる。だから手短に話すよ。サトシから電話が来たんだよ。
Oh?
サトシ君が？お姉に？
多分、私にじゃないと思う。シオンにだと思う。サトシは先日の教室での件を謝りたがってるみたいだった。だからその電話はシオンが受けた方がいいと思って。サトシの電話は今ちょっと忙しいからすぐかけ直すって言って切ってあるの。
Ah, smart, smart.
だからシオンは今から私が言う電話番号に電話してあげて。
わかった。
I was stunned for a second, but then recovered and wrote down the number on the back of a magazine.
ありがとう。すぐに電話します。
そうしてあげて。サトシは最近すごく追い詰められてるの。
Yeah, I can kinda tell.
私の声はもう届かないみたいだけど、シオンの声ならひょっとすると届くかもしれないって。何の根拠もなく思ってる。
You done? She could have pretended to be me and handled this call, or his call, but she passed it over to me.
ありがとう、ミオ。
じゃあね、シオン。
Before she hung up, I put the handset down, and then after a second, I dialed the number in a flash. I heard the dial tone 3 times, 4 times, And there he was.
北条です。
He sounded like an adult. His voice sounded a bit tired too, but it definitely was the voice I loved. I got scared. I was scared that he might become sulky again if I mentioned my name. I couldn't open my mouth for a while.
サトシくんですよね。
さっきはごめん。もう時間は大丈夫なの。
That was the Satoshi-kun I knew. He didn't sound cold like the other day.
全然平気です。
After that, he went silent. I felt the urge to start a conversation. It wasn't fair. He was the one who called in the first place. Then, he finally spoke.
先日はごめん。
私こそごめんなさいです。
ミオンは謝らなくていいよ。僕がどうかしてた。
If this were a face-to-face conversation, he would be stroking my head. It was sad just talking to him over the phone.
僕は僕たちをここまで追い込んだ奴らを、そいつらはでも決してミオンじゃなかったんだ。だから僕は君にだけは謝ろうと思って。
気にしないで。私だってサトシくんのことをよく理解しようともせず無神経だった。
We apologized to each other a few times.
それよりサトシくん大丈夫？いろいろと大変なのにサトコの誕生日プレゼントのためにアルバイトまでして。
It really does not, seem that she's keeping up the whole Mion act right now.
だいぶ追い詰められてるんじゃない？
Whether on purpose or accident, I don't know.
バイトはやめたよ。目標額のお金はなんとか貯められたみたいだからね。
そうなんだ。ならもう体を無理させなくていいんですね。本当によかった。
Satoshi-kun tried to say something, but he dropped it instead.
僕よりサトコの方が辛い。
サトコ大変なことになっていますね。大丈夫なんですか？
あれが大丈夫なように見えるのかよ。
He suddenly sounded upset. I'd messed up.
ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。
I was so stupid. I had ruined this miraculous conversation with him. Satoshi-kun didn't respond to my apology, so I stopped apologizing.
あんなに誰が見てもわかるくらいに傷ついてボロボロでみんな見捨てた。サトコ見捨てた。
見捨てたつもりなんて。
I tried to calm him down. I hated what I just said because of how hollow it sounded. I had no idea what to say next. I felt guilty. Satoshi-kun was desperate to protect Sotoko from her evil aunt, but I'd wished that Sotoko would die tomorrow because of the curse. I was trampling on his desperate hope.
サトコはもう擦り切れる直前なんだ。だから。
So, he cut himself off in the middle and went quiet for a moment. He must have been choosing his words carefully. Then he finally spoke. His words sounded hollow.
だからせめて一夜くらい遊ばせてやりたいんだ。
え？遊ばせるって。
ほら、明日は綿流しのお祭りじゃないか。サトコをお祭りに連れ
Oh
出して
my
ほしいな。
gosh. This should sound so familiar, and we should expect it too, because we were told by Mion, not Shion, about how Satoshi said this.
それは構わないけどどうして？
サトコもいろいろと参ってる。たとえ一夜でもおばさんのいないところで羽を伸ばせたなら。
だからどうして？
どうしてって。
It's not that I didn't understand why he wanted her taken to the festival. What I didn't understand is why he was asking me to do that. Was there any reason he couldn't take her there himself? I had a hunch that he might disappear, so I kept asking.
どうしてって何がだ
どうして、サトシ君が自分で連れて行ってあげないの？
He fell silent. Satoshi-kun isn't good at lying or keeping secrets. It was clear that he wanted to hide something.
用事だよ。僕、明日はちょっとバイトの関係で用事があって、どうしてもお祭りには行けないんだ。
Yeah, this boy lied. But he was also stubborn. He wouldn't admit it if I accused him.
ねえ、ミオン、明日の夜だけ、サトコを頼めないかな。
I wouldn't want to look after Sotoko, even at Satoshi-kun's request. But I'm also glad that he's relying on me.
あれだけの暴言をぶつけて、それを謝るついでに、こんなことを頼むなんて。
I mean, it's not gonna be us that's, it's not gonna be us that's gonna have to look after her. It's gonna be actually Mion.
ミオンだけが頼りなんだ。
I didn't know what to say. I did know, though, that I wasn't going to turn down his request.
わかった。明日の晩だけだよ。
できたら、明日の晩だけじゃなく、
Yeah,
これからもずっとがいいな。
I don't really like how you're saying that.
何言ってるんですか？そんなの嫌です。明日だけですからね。
He sounded as if he were going to disappear tomorrow. I didn't like the sound of that, so I intentionally sounded sulky. We talked about trivial stuff for just a little while. When the conversation was almost over, Satoshi-kun asked something else.
ねえ、ミオン、こんなことを話すと、きっと精神的に病んでるって思われるんで。
どうしたんですか？
ミオンは信じないよね。
何をですか？
ほら、お社様のたたり。
Well, maybe just a little.
サトシ君、何の話ですか？
お社様は確かほら、村を捨てて逃げ出そうとするとたたるでしょ。
That's the rule. Every kid in the village knows that.
そう、どうしたんです？突然。村を捨てて逃げようとでもしてるんですか？
Though I was kidding, I wanted him to deny it.
もうそんな気はないんだ。もう。
He admitted that he had thought of it. I guess Rena told me that much.
いいじゃないですか。もうそんな気がないのなら。
でも、まだ許してもらえないんだ。
え？
Satoshi-kun tried to say something but hesitated. He was breathing so heavily. Was he sick?
具合悪いの？
ごめん。そういうわけじゃないんだ。
サトシ君は少し頑張りすぎたから、いろいろ疲れてるんです。少し休んだ方がいいです。
He sounded distinctly more sickly from when this conversation had started. He breathed heavily when punctuating his words. Satoshi-kun repeated his question.
ミオン、最初の質問をもう一度するよ。ミオンは、お社様のたたりって存在すると思うかい？
What did he want me to say? Could I make him feel relieved with my answer? How should I respond? The answer was simple.
たたりなんてあるわけないじゃないですか。
I didn't know what was bothering him, but I wanted to make him feel better by laughing his worries away. But Satoshi-kun instead fell silent. Would my answer make him happy or maybe sad? I couldn't tell. One thing was certain. I didn't make him feel any better.
変なことを聞いてごめん。
ごめん。
I felt like I let him down, so I apologized in a rush.
たたりだろうと、この村の何者かの陰謀だろうと、僕は絶対に消えない。消されない。
消えないよ。
消えないよ、サトコに。あのぬいぐるみを買ってやるまではね。もうすぐ、お給料がもらえることになってる。その日までは絶対に消えない。
He chuckled. I knew he was trying to relieve me, but it worked the opposite way. He sounded as though he didn't care what would happen after he bought the teddy bear.
あ、おばさんが帰ってきたからもう切るよ。
うん。
ミオン。
何？
Even though he wanted to hang up the phone because of his aunt coming back, Satoshi-kun took a breath to tell me something important.
サトコのこと頼むからね。
I should have said yes right away, but I still couldn't forgive Sadako, so I just kept quiet.
変なこと頼んで、じゃあ。
He was obviously disappointed. What had I done? I wanted to apologize. I wished I could, but it was too late. The dial tone left no doubt. Now that was depressing. Going back on a lot of my predictions and such, you know, do I think that Yashiro-sama's curse exists? I don't know. But to say that there's not some weird shit going on here, like, I'd be lying to myself. There's gotta be some weird shit going on here. Plea ignored with a baseball bat is the achievement unlocked. If that's not foreshadowing, I don't know what is. We'll read the torn diary. But anyways, what I was gonna say was, okay, well this doesn't seem good. What I was gonna say is that there's gotta be some weird shit going on, or maybe a lot of what we've experienced or seen so far has just not been, like, the dots haven't been connected, and in a way it just seems like some fishy, mystical shit is happening. And also, we've only had the perspective of one person, Keiichi, who could have just, you know, been a little, cuckoo in the brain. And we did follow somebody else, and while we didn't see anything out of the ordinary, there was that whole volcanic gas shit that happened, which is, a little strange, to say the least. Somebody whispered to me from behind. They told me that I was going to be the victim of the curse this year. So I'm going to disappear soon. There'll be nobody left to take care of Sadako. Somebody whispered to me from behind. They told me that I don't have much time, that I won't stay as myself for much longer. So I had to make the best of the days I had left. What could I leave for Sadako? She wanted that huge teddy bear. She wanted a peaceful life in which nobody would bully her. I whispered to the person at my back. Bestow your violent nature and formidable strength upon me. I want your peaceful mind filled with hatred. But why? Obviously, we know who wrote that, but like, why? What will happen? What will Satoshi do? The day of the Watanagashi Festival. June 20th, 1982, 1:40 p.m. What was I doing today? Nothing in particular. Nothing at all. I just wanted to play hooky. I woke up in the afternoon. I ate instant food for lunch while watching boring TV programs. I had a light headache, so I lay down on the sofa. I wouldn't wake up again if I went to sleep. Whatever. I decided to sleep. I'd already told Sis that Satoshi-kun had asked her to look after Sadako. I didn't have to do anything myself. I fell asleep, though my head was aching a little bit. That would be all I'd have to deal with. June 20th, 1982, 5:02 p.m. The aunt believed that all the villagers frowned upon her because of her brother-in-law and his wife were pro-dam activists. She surely experienced some fallout during the time of the dispute, but people had stopped looking coldly upon her, even though she assumed otherwise. She was paranoid, believing that all the villagers hated her, and so she decided to hate them back. Her attitude, of course, begot hatred from the villagers, and the situation became exactly the way she thought it was from the start. What came first, their poor relationships with the neighbors, or her husband's affair? She didn't know herself. Her husband claimed that he got a lover because he was fed up with her attitude. Shit, I'd be too, goddamn. Well, I wouldn't cheat, but I'd fucking, like, turn tail. She in turn claimed that their relationships with the neighbors went sour because her husband had damaged their reputation. Only Satoshi was aware that both happened at almost the same time. Their quarrels had become a daily routine now. When the husband came home late, the wife would shout at him at the entrance. Satoshi wondered why they didn't get a divorce, their marriage being as rotten as it was. But he secretly knew the reason for that too. It was the fortune his parents had left. His aunt had hidden their bank book and stamp and never allowed her husband access to them. So her husband would search the house for them. She'd find out he stole some money from her purse. This would cause yet another fight. Satoshi had never been aware that his parents had that much money when they were alive. After their death, however, one of his relatives told him. He was informed that his parents had left a large sum of money in some bank account. Satoshi couldn't understand why they had that kind of money because his family had been, as far as he knew, poor. It was because of the dam project. His parents probably got the money in return for their cooperation with the government. They had strived to get more villagers on their side, provided information to them and whatnot. The money was probably compensation for their efforts. His aunt and uncle never had any intention to adopt them until they heard about the money. After someone from some financial institution revealed its existence, they appeared to adopt Sotoko and Satoshi. The couple would fight every day. Eventually, Satoshi's uncle started spending more time at his mistress's home. He realized that he had no reason to return to his own home, because he'd just end up in a fight with his wife if he did. When he stopped coming home, Satoshi felt relieved. Neither their uncle nor their aunt treated the two siblings very well. Satoshi's aunt wouldn't have to vent her frustration upon them. The reason the couple fought was their corrupted relationship, so if they separated, there wouldn't be any more fights. Satoshi had thought that at first. But even after they separated, his aunt still had a short temper. Another woman had stolen her husband. The villagers must have been talking behind her back. It was mortifyingly embarrassing. Since she lost an opponent to fight, Satoshi's aunt directed her hatred toward the siblings. Satoshi had been observing her. He learned when she would get upset and how to avoid her attention. He managed to get by without upsetting her by turning a keen eye to her behavior and avoiding conflicts. But Sotoko couldn't do that. She hated her aunt and didn't even try to hide it. Satoshi told her to behave in her aunt's presence, but her eyes were always filled with hatred. Satoshi strived to reduce the conflict between them as much as possible. He stepped in to mend their relationship. It was a heavy burden for him though, because he was still just a boy. He bore so much. He covered for his little sister by lying and maneuvering. He tried to maintain a tangible sense of peace. But he couldn't do that forever. The relationship between Sotoko and her aunt had already spiraled out of control. Satoshi found something in the trash. It probably wasn't a legitimate place for trash disposal. If it was, sanitation workers would come and pick it up. He passed by this street all the time, so he noticed when there were new things dumped there. He'd found a plain-looking desk, of the kind likely to be seen in offices. Somebody must have dumped it within the past few days. His aunt liked to bring usable trash home. She'd had Satoshi help bring a chest home just a few days ago. If he told her about the desk, she'd want it. His aunt hated to find bugs and garbage in the drawers, so she'd always open them to check before carrying the thing home. Satoshi opened all the drawers, all of which were empty. After that, he turned around and walked for about 5 steps. He was standing in a knee-high bush. There he laid something he'd been carrying all the time until today. It'd be very hard to find unless you specifically knew it was there to begin with. Looking satisfied, Satoshi looked around for some landmark to remember the place by. June 20th, 1982, 5:51 p.m.
へい親父、今年も来たね。また根こそぎかっさらっていくから覚悟しときなよ。
いや園崎のお嬢ちゃんは今年も元気がいいな。そっちの子は新顔かい？
この子はね、竜宮レナ。こう見えてても結構やるよ。
そんなことないよ。よろしくお願いしますね。
おう、こっちこそよろしくな。今年もいろいろ景品を持ってきたんだぜ。 もちろん真剣勝負だ。根こそぎ持ってけるもんなら持ってけってんだ。
レナは可愛いものには目がないのですよ。
ああ、あのぬいぐるみとそっちのぬいぐるみはレナの好みだね。
はうかわいいね。
Damn, it's been a while since we heard that.
お持ち帰り。
And that.
ダメだよ。まだ準備中だよ。おい。
レナ、ダメ。まだ準備中だってさ。ちゃんと回転したら根こそぎさらってやりな。
はう、もうダメだよ。レナのものなんだよ。お持ち帰り。
Rena lost her marbles over the stuffed animal. Everybody laughed. Everybody except Sotoko, who was just fucking there, I guess. Just there. She was standing by herself some distance from the crowd. Her eyes looked dull.
なんなんですの、リカ。
Rika walked up to Sotoko, smiling ear to ear in an effort to cheer her up.
今日は何も考えなくていいのですよ。いっぱい楽しく過ごしましょうなのです。
Sotoko looked down. Even if she got to have fun today, her circumstances at home wouldn't change.
さとこ、意地悪なおばさんは今日はお祭りには来ませんですよ。そんなことは分かってますわ。ならいっぱい笑っていっぱい楽しくなるのですよ。みぱー、みぱー、みぱー。
God damn it.
あいにくですけど、そういう気分になれませんの。申し訳ございませんけど、放っておいてくださいませ。
どうしてさとこは笑いませんですか？
Sotoko sulkily glimpsed at Rika. She gave her a look, as though she wanted to say that Rika should know the reason. Even if she could have fun today, nothing would change between her and her evil aunt. No matter how fun the festival was, once she went home, her aunt would be there. The aunt would find something wrong with Sotoko, get mad, and shout at her so loudly that the neighbors would hear. How can she have fun even just for today while knowing all of that? Sotoko didn't say that out loud, but her eyes betrayed her emotions to Rika.
ではさとこの辛いのが今日でおしまいになるなら、さとこは笑ってくれますですか？
Sotoko gasped. She thought that Rika might do something to help. But soon after, she realized that Rika was just trying to comfort her. Could her suffering end today? Because of Rika? How? Sotoko knew that there was really nothing Rika could do, and so, after just one moment of freedom, Sotoko fell into depression again.
リカ、くだらない気休めは聞きたくないですわ。
さとこ、
Rika's voice was clearer than Sotoko had ever heard before.
もう決まっていることなのです。
Oh yeah, that's right. Rika has these insane abilities and such. Alright, we're gonna end the episode here before we continue on. I guess events are just kind of happening, and that's all. Which is fine, you know, nothing wrong with that, I guess. So thank you all for watching this episode, hope you all enjoyed. Next time, I guess we'll see how the Watanagashi continues to play out here, and we'll see what happens. I mean, we should know what's gonna happen here. The aunt's gonna die, but we'll be having a perspective on this specific situation. We'll see what goes on. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.